serving the people of this community since 1918. Service is our motto. The poor, the rich, the middle class and all are given the best of care and attention at all times. You have the privilege to select what you want. In your time of need, contact the capable, the competent, and the dependable staff of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home who is genuinely concerned with your care. At Jwwilliams Funeral Home, you are aptly served by the proprietor and president, Deacon Arthur L. Parker, who continues the traditions and values set forth by the past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams. Your announcers for the Jwwilliams Funeral Home Sunday morning program are Deacon Arthur L. Parker, Reverend Isaac H. Owens, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, Minister Frankie Harmon, Ms. Sandra Johnson, and Deacon Earl Clark, Jr.
Thank you, and good morning, friends. I hope that your day may be brighter after listening to our program. The family of Mr. Marcus Bernard Washington Sr. of Vienna, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Daphne Elaine Martin White of Warner Robins, Georgia. The family of Mr. Johnny Bernard Palmer of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Miss Michelle Elizabeth Graham of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Freeman Clayton Jr. of Vienna, Georgia. The family of Mr. Jakara Street of Cordele, Georgia, would like to thank their many friends for the food, the flowers, the condolences, and all other expressions of sympathy and kindness shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. Mr. Marcus Bernard Washington Sr., age 35, of 315 Porter Street, Vienna, Georgia, died Saturday, June 22nd, of injuries sustained in a motorcycle accident. The funeral service for Mr. Marcus Bernard Washington Sr., age 35, was held Monday, July 8th, in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. His pastor, Dr. K.M. Williams, pastor of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church, officiated. The burial followed at the Shiloh Baptist Church Cemetery in Henderson, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Wendy Thomas Washington, his beloved children, Miss Shanika Washington, Miss Marquita Washington, Mr. Marcus Washington Jr., Mr. Ja'Cory Washington, Mr. Demarion Washington, and Miss Nova Washington, all of Fort Valley, Georgia. 7 beloved grandchildren. His beloved grandmother, Mrs. Johnny Kate Washington of Unadilla, Georgia. His beloved and devoted sister, Mrs. Anitra Jackson, and her husband, Mr. Chris Jackson of Atlanta, Georgia. His beloved brothers, Mr. Jackie Washington of Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, Mr. Vincent J. Washington, and Mr. Telvin Lewis of Vienna, Georgia. His beloved aunts and uncles, Mrs. Marilyn Watkins of Roberta, Georgia, Mrs. Pamela Daniels and her husband, Mr. Bryce Daniels of Pinehurst, Georgia, and Mr. Lynn Washington of Duluth, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survived Mr. Mark Marcus Bernard Washington Sr., age 35, of 315 Porter Street, Vienna, Georgia. Mrs. Daphne Elaine Martin White, age 62, of 115 Fine Glade Place, Warner Robins, Georgia, died Tuesday, July 2nd, at the Houston Medical Center in Warner Robins, Georgia. Funeral service for Mrs. Daphne Elaine Martin White, age 62, was held Tuesday, July 2nd, in the sanctuary of Word in Season Ministry in Warner Robins, Georgia. The Reverend Mike McCullen, pastor, Minister Victoria DeShaza officiated. The eulogy was delivered by Elder Valencia Moss. The burial followed at the Staley Memorial Garden in Americus, Georgia. Survivors include a loving and devoted husband, Mr. Al White, of Warner Robins, Georgia. Her loving and devoted children, Mr. Donovan White and Miss Ashley White, both of Warner Robins, Georgia. Her beloved father, Mr. James L. Martin of Perry, Georgia. 4 beloved siblings, Miss Erica Martin Kears and her husband, Mr. Wilson Kears. Miss Angela Martin, both of St. Albany, New York. Mr. James Martin Jr. and his wife, Mrs. Michelle Martin of Greenwich, Connecticut. Dr. Vicki Myers and her husband, Sir Dave Myers of Monroe, Connecticut. Her brother-in-law, Mr. James White, and his wife, Mrs. Francisco White of Orange County, New York. 4 beloved aunts, Miss Neville Scarlett of New York, Mrs. Juanita Ingram of Far Rockaway, New York, Miss Desi Floyd of Americus, Georgia, and Miss Wilhelmina Martin of Petersburg, Virginia. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mrs. Daphne Elaine Martin White, age 62, of 115 Fine Glade Place, Warner Robins, Georgia. Mr. Johnny Bernard Palmer, age 60, of 109 North Bass Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Saturday, June 29th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Johnny Bernard Palmer, age 60, was held Friday, July 12th in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church, officiated. The burial followed at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted father, Deacon James Palmer, and his wife, Mrs. Ozzie Palmer of Cordele, Georgia. His loving and devoted sibling, Mr. Edward James Palmer, and his wife, Mrs. Mary Palmer of Vienna, Georgia. Mr. Willie James Palmer and his fiancée, Miss Kathy. Mrs. Mary Elizabeth Coleman and her husband, Mr. Raymond Coleman, and Miss Brenda Palmer, all of Cordele, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Johnny Bernard Palmer, age 60, of 109 North Bass Street, Cordele, Georgia. Miss Michelle Elizabeth Graham, age 57, of 704 West 11th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Monday, July 8th, at her residence in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Miss Michelle Elizabeth Graham, age 57, was held Friday, July 12th, in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church, officiated. The burial followed at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include her living and devoted children, Miss Phelan Graham Mincy and her husband, Antonio Mincy, of Warner Robins, Georgia, Mr. Carl Redding Jr. and his wife, Mrs. Shatara Redding, Mr. Stevie Sanders Jr. and his wife, Mrs. Santana Sanders, and Miss Tony Addy, all of Cordele, Georgia. 3 adored grandchildren, Journey, Antonio, and Stephen III. Her loving and devoted sisters, Miss Angela Sanders of Cordele, Georgia, Mrs. Deborah Malone and her husband, Sadara Malone of Pensacola, Florida, Miss Carolyn Hall of South Carolina, and Miss Evelyn Harvey of Cordele, Georgia. Her beloved brothers, Mr. Ricky Graham and his wife, Mrs. Courtney Graham of Cordele, Georgia, Mr. Johnny Graham and his wife, Mrs. Stephanie Graham of Warner Robins, Georgia, and Mr. Antonio Graham of Cordele, Georgia. A beloved aunt, Miss Christine Jackson of Cordele, Georgia. A host of nieces, nephew, whom she dearly loved, many cousins, to include a special cousin, Mrs. Patricia Patrick of Cordele, Georgia, a host of other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Miss Michelle Elizabeth Graham, age 57, of 704 West 11th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. Mr. Freeman Clayton Jr., age 76, of 810 Lincoln Street, Vienna, Georgia, died Wednesday, July 3rd, at the Phoebe Putney Memorial Hospital in Albany, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Freeman Clayton Jr., age 76, was held Saturday, July 13th, in the sanctuary of the Forest Chapel Baptist Church in Pinehurst, Georgia. The pastor, Reverend Willie Green, officiated. The burial followed in the churchyard cemetery. Survivors include his loving and devoted children, Mr. Freeman Hardrick, Miss Latricia Hardrick, and Mr. Mario Hardrick, all of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Mr. Cortez Caldwell of St. Petersburg, Florida, Mr. Gentry Jackson, Miss Tamitri Burton of Vienna, Georgia, Miss Tina Glenn of Pinehurst, Georgia, Miss Shaquila Woodson, and Mr. Malcolm Freeman, both of Warner Robins, Georgia. 21 beloved grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, 3 beloved and devoted sisters, Miss Willidale Coleman of Lily, Georgia, Miss Amita Clayton of Doolin, Georgia, and Mrs. Inez Glenn of Vienna, Georgia. 3 beloved brothers, Deacon Lonnie Clayton and Mr. Leon Clayton and his wife, Mrs. Early Mae Clayton, both of Byronville, Georgia. Mr. Abraham Clayton and Mr. John Clayton of Lily, Georgia. A beloved aunts, Miss Georgia Eva Spivey and Miss Frankie Parker, both of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Freeman Clayton Jr., age 76, of 810 Lincoln Street, Vienna, Georgia. Mr. Jakameron Jakari Street, better known as CJ, age 21, of 315 West 27th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Saturday, July 6th, at the Atrium Health Navison in Macon, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Jakameron Jakari Street, better known as CJ, was held Saturday, July 13th, in the sanctuary of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church in Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor, his beloved grandfather, the Reverend Eddie Talbert, officiated. The burial followed at the Spring Hill Baptist Church Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted mother, Miss Shanteria Bridges of Cordele, Georgia, his beloved father, Mr. Jeffrey Lee Street Jr. of Cordele, Georgia, his beloved brothers and sisters, Mr. Zamarin Bridges, Master Kyrie Bridges, Miss Desi Johnson, Mr. Chance Johnson, Miss Jaleda Allen, his loving and devoted grandparents, Miss Cassandra Mathis of Cordele, Georgia, Mr. Shantonio Bridges and his wife, Mrs. Diane Bridges of Columbus, Georgia, Miss Deborah Perry Sampson and her husband, Mr. Curtis Sampson of Cordele, Georgia, the Reverend Eddie Talbert and his wife, Mrs. Tanika Talbert of Fort Valley, Georgia, his beloved great-grandmothers, Mother Lily Mathis of Cordele, Georgia, and Miss Annie Pearl Perry of Warner Robins, Georgia. A host of aunts, uncles, great-aunts, great-uncles, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive Mr. Jakameron Jakari Street, age 21, of 315 West 27th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. Again, the family of Mr. Marcus Bernard Washington Sr. of Vienna, Georgia, the family of Mrs. Daphne Elaine Martin White of Warner Robins, Georgia, the family of Mr. Johnny Bernard Palmer of Cordele, Georgia, the family of Miss Michelle Elizabeth Graham of Cordele, Georgia, the family of Mr. Freeman Clayton Jr. of Vienna, Georgia, the family of Mr. Jakameron Jakari Street of Cordele, Georgia, would like to thank their many friends for all of the many kindnesses shown to them during the hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. May God bless each of you is their prayer. The Jwwilliams funeral directors serving Cordele and Vienna were in charge of each of these arrangements during the past week. And now, it is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcements. died Tuesday, July 2nd, at the Phoebe Putnam Memorial Hospital in Albany, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mr. Jwwilliams Dixon and his wife, Mrs. Sarah Dixon, and Mr. Zamaria Dixon, both of Rochelle, Georgia. Mrs. Nikita Williams and her husband, Mr. Lenny Williams of Abbeville, Georgia. Her beloved grandchildren, her loving sister, Mrs. Diana Johnson, and her husband, Mr. Willie Johnson of Eastman, Georgia. Her beloved brothers, Mr. Robert Dixon and Mr. Johnny Dixon, and his wife, Mrs. Danita Dixon, both of Rochelle, Georgia. Her beloved aunts and uncles, Mrs. Marcella Mathis and Mr. John David Dixon, both of Atlanta, Georgia. Miss Annie Dixon, Miss Jeanette Benjamin, Miss Mary Hargrove, Miss Martha Denmark, and Mr. Eugene Dixon, all of Rochelle, Georgia. Mr. Willie Dixon of Eastman, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Miss Arlene Susan Dixon, age 52, of 46 Hill Street, Rochelle, Georgia. The funeral service for Miss Arlene Susan Dixon, age 52, will be held Monday, July 15th at 11 a.m. in the sanctuary of the PFGC Church in Rochelle, Georgia. The pastor, Elder J.W. Bentley, will officiate. The burial will follow at the Evergreen Cemetery in Rochelle, Georgia. The public visitation will be today from 1 until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. United States Army veteran, Mr. Joseph Smith Sr., age 79, of 305 North 4th Street, Vienna, Georgia, died Tuesday, July 2nd at his residence in Vienna, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted children, Miss Cassandra Lawson of Unadilla, Georgia, Mr. Samuel Morrell and his wife, Mrs. Linda Morrell of Jacksonville, Florida, Miss Samantha Tate and her husband, Mr. Eldridge Tate of Toledo, Ohio, Mrs. Azina Busset and Miss Crystal Smith, both of Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Joseph Smith Jr. of Vienna, Georgia, 10 beloved grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, a beloved and devoted sister, Mrs. Barbara Bembry, and her husband, Mr. John Henry Bembry of Columbus, Georgia, a beloved brother, Mr. Bobby Joe Smith of Jacksonville, Florida, a host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survived. United States Army veteran, Mr. Joseph Smith Sr., age 79, of 305 North 10th Street, Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for United States Army veteran, Mr. Joseph Smith Sr., age 79, will be held Monday, July 15th at 3 p.m. in the chapel of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home, with the minister selected officiating. The burial with military honors will follow in the Veterans section of Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. The public visitation will be today from 1 until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. Mr. Evan James Dawson, age 77, of 445 Vance Avenue, Byronville, Georgia, died Wednesday, July 10th, at his residence in Byronville, Georgia. Leggett Dawson of Byronville, Georgia. His loving and devoted children, Mr. Octavius Wiggins and his wife, Mrs. Aletha Wiggins of Atlanta, Georgia, and Mr. Reginald Leggett of Byronville, Georgia. His loving and devoted mother, Mother Eunice Lester Dawson of Byronville, Georgia. His loving and devoted sisters, Miss Addie Dawson of Atlanta, Georgia, Miss Elleridge Pridgeon of Byronville, Georgia, and Miss Dorothy Pearson of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. His godsons, Mr. Tommy Lee Brown and Mr. Frankie Lee Brown. 4 beloved grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, 3 sisters-in-law, 2 brothers-in-law, a host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Evan James Dawson, age 77, of 445 Vance Avenue, Byronville, Georgia. The funeral James Dawson, age 77, will be held Saturday, July 20th at 10 a.m. at the Dooley County Primary School in Pinehurst, Georgia. The Reverend Mary Scott will officiate. The public visitation will be Friday, July 19th from 1 until 5 p.m. at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. Deacon Gregory Bernard Pickens, age 52, of 104 South 13th Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Thursday, July 11th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Evelyn Watson Pickens of Cordele, Georgia, his loving and devoted children, Miss Shanta Harvey of Warner Robins, Georgia, Miss Jessica Watson of Cordele, Georgia, and Miss Maya Watson of Belle Glade, Florida. 10 beloved grandchildren. His beloved father, Mr. Fred Williams of Cordele, Georgia. His loving sisters, Miss Marlena Pickens of Atlanta, Georgia, and Miss Justine Pickens of Cordele, Georgia. A beloved brother, Mr. Anthony Pickens, and his wife, Miss Linda Pickens of Cordele, Georgia. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends, to include his special friends, the deacons of the Odom Grove Baptist Church. Survived Deacon Gregory Bernard Pickens, age 52, of 104 South 13th Street, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Deacon Gregory Bernard Pickens, age 52, will be held Saturday, July 20th at 2 p.m. in the sanctuary of the Odom Grove Baptist Church in Cordele, Georgia. The pastor, Reverend Jeff Wilson, will officiate. The burial will follow at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. The public visitation will be Friday, July 19th from 1 until 5 p.m. at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. Mother Gladys Porter Lewis, age 96, of 406 West 1st Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Saturday, July 13th at the Cordele Health and Rehabilitation Center in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include her loving nieces and nephews, a host of cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mother Gladys Porter Lewis, age 96, of 406 West 1st Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mother Gladys Porter Lewis, age 96, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangements. Mr. Richard Gaylord White, age 71, of 5830 Georgia Highway 215, Vienna, Georgia, died Saturday, July 13th, at his residence in Vienna, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Jacqueline Bembry White of Vienna, Georgia, his loving and devoted children, Mr. Richard Wyatt Jr. of Atlanta, Georgia, Stacy Wyatt of Moultrie, Georgia, Miss Tamika Harvey and her husband, Mr. Boyd Harvey, and Mr. Jimmy Burton, both of Cordele, Georgia. 14 beloved grandchildren, a beloved sister, Mrs. Catherine Bradfield, and her husband, Mr. Tommy Bradfield of Atlanta, Georgia, a beloved brother, Mr. Kenneth White of Moultrie, Georgia, his in-law, Miss Aretha Walker and Miss Darlene Everson, both of Miami, Florida, Minister Wilhelmina Lewis and her husband, the Reverend James Lewis of Columbus, Georgia, Miss Maddie Gaston of Vienna, Georgia, and Mr. John Bembry and her husband, Mrs. Barbara Bembry of Columbus, Georgia. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Richard Gaylord White, age 71, of 5830 Georgia Highway 215, Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Richard Gaylord White, age 71, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangements. The Jwwilliams funeral directors serving Cordele and Vienna are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Now for an outer area funeral announcement. Mrs. Ozzie Kitchen Ritchie, age 87, died July 5th, 2024 in Miami, Florida. The viewing will be held Monday, July 15th, 2024 from 5 until 8 p.m. at the House of God Miracle Revival Fellowship, 4511 West Hollandale Beach Boulevard, Hollywood, Florida. The homegoing celebration will be Tuesday, July 16, 2024 at 11 a.m. at the New Jerusalem Primitive Baptist Church, 777 Northwest 85th Street, Miami, Florida. Services entrusted to Eric L. Wilson Funeral Home in Hollywood, Florida. Friends, that conclude our funeral notices for this morning. And as always, we do remind you concerning our pre-funeral arrangements planning available at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home, with packages available with a single pay, a 3-year pay, a 5-year pay, and a 10-year pay. So please stop by and talk with us concerning your pre-funeral arrangements needs available at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. And also whole life insurance is available at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home.
And now for announcements. The Turkey Creek Baptist Church homecoming service will be held today, Sunday, July 14th at 11 a.m. The revival service will begin on Monday, July 15th through Friday, July 19th at 7:30 p.m. Our program will be Monday and Tuesday. Reverend Darrell McIntosh will deliver the message. Wednesday through Friday, Reverend Kawana Walker will deliver the message. Sister Teresa Young, church reporter. Deacon Joseph Davis, chairman of deacons. Reverend Jerome Smith is the pastor. The New Poplar Spring Baptist Church Youth Day celebration will be observed today, beginning at 9:45 a.m. Dr. Scott R. Ross of Atlanta will be the guest speaker. Everyone is cordially invited to attend. Pastor Johnny Dean, pastor. The Camp Creek Baptist Church of Unadilla 155th church anniversary and homecoming will be observed today, Sunday, July 14th at 11 a.m. Minister Felicia Hunlin, interim pastor, will deliver the message. Dinner will be served. Everyone has a cordial invitation to attend. The Shady Grove CME Church of the Drayton Community annual homecoming will be Sunday, July 21st, with Sunday school beginning at 10 a.m., worship service at 11 a.m. The pastor, Reverend Andrew Thomas, will deliver the message. Brother Peyton Beal Jr., chairman of stewards. Reverend Andrew Thomas is the pastor. The Spring Hill Baptist Church of Tippettville homecoming will begin on Sunday, July 21st at 11 a.m. The pastor, Reverend Joyce Cobb Sr., will deliver the message. At 2 p.m., the New Bethel Church and Reverend Carlos Dixon will be in charge of the service. Dinner will be served. The revival will begin on Monday, July 22nd through Wednesday, July 24th at 7:30 p.m. On program will be Monday, Green Grove Baptist Church and Choir, and Reverend Darrell McIntosh. Free Providence Baptist Church, Ebenezer Baptist Church, Big Poplar, Lebanon Baptist Church, Friendship of Finley, Evergreen of Pinehurst. Tuesday, Mount Air Church and Choir and Reverend John Day. Antioch Baptist Church of Pineview, Mount Calvary, Mount Beulah, New Hope, Holly Grove, and Forest Chapel. Wednesday, Piney Grove Baptist Church and Pastor Reverend Travis Johnson. New Travelers Home Church and Choir, Evergreen Baptist Church of Rochelle, St. Mark Baptist Church, Turkey Creek Baptist Church, and Linwood Baptist Church. Everyone is cordially invited to attend. Sister Mary Ann Lewis, Secretary, Deacon Calvin Youngblood, Chairman of Deacons, Reverend Joyce Cobb Sr. is the pastor. The Jerusalem Baptist Church of Ellerville Home Mission Anniversary will be observed today, Sunday, July 14th. At 1:30 p.m., Reverend Michael Edge, pastor of William Grove Baptist Church of Ellerville, will be the guest speaker. Dr. Deanne Hosley is the pastor. The New Corinth Baptist Church of Leslie annual revival will begin on Tuesday, July 16th through Thursday, July 18th at 7 p.m. Reverend Tony Smith of Jerusalem Baptist Church will be the guest speaker. The Jenkins Jubilee's 64th anniversary will be Sunday, July 25th at 5 p.m. at Whole Truth International Ministries Incorporated in Americus, Georgia. Our program will be Next Level, The Gospel 2+1, The Gospel Keys, Pastor Michael Acre and the Miracle Workers of Georgia, Happy Land, and many other groups. Everyone is cordially invited to attend. Reverend Muntz, host pastor. New Union Grove Baptist Church of America's annual revival will begin on Tuesday, July 23rd through Thursday, July 25th at 7 p.m. Pastor Mathis Kirsch Wright Jr. will be the evangelist for the week. Homecoming service will be Sunday, July 28th at 1:30 p.m. Union, Oak Grove, and Reverend Edwards will be in charge of the service. Reverend Mathis and Reverend Linda Wright, pastors. The New Jerusalem Baptist Church of America's church anniversary will begin on Tuesday, July 30th through Thursday, August 1st at 7 p.m. Pastor Solomon Loud of New Beginning Baptist Church, Albany, will be the guest minister. Deacon Charles Furlow, chairman of deacons. Reverend Tony Smith is the pastor. The McAfee Grove Baptist Church of Leedsburg invites everyone to worship with them. Family nights Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Small class study Thursdays at 7 p.m. Morning worship at 9 a.m. Minister Tawanda Daniels, secretary. Dr. Robert L. Morgan Sr. is the pastor. The Little Rock Baptist Church homecoming service will be observed today, Sunday, July 14th, beginning at 10 o'clock a.m. Everyone is cordially invited to attend. Mother Adeline Lofton, church mother, Deacon Nathaniel Nance, chairman of deacons. Reverend Joseph Green is the pastor. The Zion Hope Baptist Church of Cordele, the annual revival will climax today, Sunday, July 14th. At 2 o'clock p.m., the Emmanuel Missionary Baptist Church and Choir will be in charge of the service. Sister Barbara Smith, secretary. Deacon Xavier Bryant, chairman of deacons. Brother Willie James Felton is the pastor. The St. King Baptist Church will celebrate the 21st anniversary of the pastor, Reverend Woody Burnham, today, beginning at 10:15 a.m. The assistant pastor, Reverend Joyce Daniels, will deliver the message. Everyone is cordially invited to attend. Reverend Woody C. Burnham is the pastor. New Hope Baptist Church of Warwick revival services will be Tuesday, July 16th through Thursday, July 18th at 7 o'clock p.m. On program will be Tuesday, Charity Grove Baptist Church of Doles and Reverend Alexander Coleman. Wednesday, Fort Early Baptist Church of Warwick and Reverend E.B. Edwards. Thursday, Christian Life Church of Albany and Dr. Raymond Polite. Mother Lovey Bagley, church mother. Deacon Dennis Harris, chairman of deacons. Reverend Tiller Sims is the pastor. The St. James Baptist Church annual revival will be Wednesday, July 17th and Thursday, July 18th at 7 o'clock p.m. Reverend Gregory Williams, pastor of Emmanuel Baptist Church, will be the revivalist. The revival will climax on Sunday, July 21st at 11 a.m. Reverend Nelson Maynard is the pastor. The Piney Grove Baptist Church annual revival will be Tuesday, July 16th through Thursday, July 18th at 7 o'clock p.m. Reverend Choice Cobb will be the revivalist. On program will be Tuesday, St. Paul Baptist Church, Buellland Baptist Church, and Spring Hill Baptist Church. Wednesday, Old Shady Grove Baptist Church, Crossroad Baptist Church, and Choir. Thursday, Shady Grove CME Church, Macedonia Baptist Church, Mount Zion First African Baptist Church, Spring Hill Baptist Church of Tippetville, and Free Providence Baptist Church and Choir. Sunday, July 21st at 10:30 a.m., the pastor, Reverend Jesse Watts, will deliver the message. At 1:30 p.m., the annual mission program with the Mount Bethel and Zion Hope Baptist Church and Reverend Willie James Felton in charge of the service. Sister Dorothy Bryant is the secretary. Deacon Nathaniel Roddy is the chairman of deacons. Reverend Jesse Watts is the pastor. The Greater Barnes Tabernacle Baptist Church one-night youth revival will be Thursday, July 18th at 7 o'clock p.m. Reverend Davon J. Griggs will be the guest evangelist. Youth revival will climax on Sunday, July 21st at 9:30 a.m. 2024 Crisp County High School graduate Mr. Jaquavian Jackson will be the speaker. Everyone is cordially invited to attend. Deacon Arthur L. Parker, chairman of deacons. Dr. K.M. Williams is the pastor. The Mount Moriah Baptist Church revival will begin on Monday, July 22nd and Tuesday, July 23rd at 7 o'clock p.m. On program will be Monday, Reverend Samuel Stokes, Tuesday, Reverend Tiller Sims. The revival will climax on Sunday, July 28th with Sunday school at 9 o'clock a.m., worship service at 10 o'clock a.m., and everyone is invited to attend. Mother Hazel Wright, church mother. Deacon Samuel McGill, chairman of deacons. Reverend Ivy Corbin is the pastor. The Shady Grove Baptist Church annual revival will begin on Tuesday, July 23rd through Thursday, July 25th at 7 o'clock p.m. Reverend B.L. Richardson of Christ Harvest Baptist Church will be the revivalist. The revival will climax on Sunday, July 28th at 11 o'clock a.m. Deacon Sammy Mumphrey, Chairman of Deacons. Reverend K.E. Drake Sr. is the pastor. The Zion Grove Baptist Church of Oakfield annual revival services will be Wednesday, July 24th through Friday, July 26th at 7 o'clock p.m. Mother Ora Morris, Church Mother. Deacon Paul Alford is the Chairman of Deacons. Reverend Tiller Sims is the pastor. The Voices of Harmony Community Choir of Albany 39th anniversary will be Sunday, July 28th at 3 o'clock p.m. at the 3rd Coyote Baptist Church in Albany, Georgia. The public has a cordial invitation to attend. Reverend Bryant K. Drake, host pastor. The Westbrook Family Reunion will be Friday, July 19th through Sunday, July 21st. Friday will be the meet and greet at Thad's Place in Cordele, Georgia at 6 o'clock p.m. Saturday, Chris Recreation Department for dinner and games. Sunday, worship service at the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church of the Hatley community. The reunion is hosted by the George Westbrook Jr. and the Westbrook family. Now open Right Choice DUI School of Warner Robins, offering online and in-person classes, weekday and weekend classes. For more information, please call 478-210-6346. The Fort Valley State University Prince County Head Start is now accepting applications for the 2024-2025 school year. If you have questions, please come by this center located at 1110 South 12th Street, or for more information, please contact Ms. Lupita Jenwright, 229-276-9880. The Greater Mars Tabernacle Baptist Church invites everyone to worship with them Sunday school at 9 a.m., worship service at 9:30 a.m. Mother Mary Henderson, Church Mother. Deacon Arthur L. Parker, Chairman of Deacons. Dr. K.M. Williams is the pastor. The Mount Zion First African Baptist Church Conference Hall for Sunday morning at 10 a.m., prayer Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 o'clock noon. Bible studies held each Wednesday at 5 o'clock p.m. The call-in number is 339-209-6419. Greater Gum Creek Baptist Church invites everyone to worship with them each first, second, and third and fourth Sundays at 10:30 a.m. Mother Norma Solomon, Church Mother. Deacon Zachary Fields, Chairman of Deacons. Reverend Joseph Hagerbrook is the pastor. The beautiful Zion Baptist Church invites everyone to worship with them today, each Sunday at 11 o'clock a.m. Mother Donna Mae Childs, Church Mother. Reverend Lorinda Ray is the pastor. That concludes our announcements for this morning.
It is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcement. Miss Arlene Susan Dixon, age 52, of 46 Hill Street, Rochelle, Georgia, died Tuesday, July 2nd at the Phoebe Putnam Memorial Hospital in Albany, Georgia. The funeral service for Miss Arlene Susan Dixon, age 52, will be held Monday, July 15th from 11 a.m. in the sanctuary of the PFGC Church in Rochelle, Georgia. The pastor, Elder J.W. Bentley, will officiate. The burial will follow at the Evergreen Baptist Church Cemetery in Rochelle, Georgia. The public visitation will be today, Sunday, July 14th, from 1 until 5 p.m. at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. United States Army veteran, Mr. Joseph Smith Sr., age 79, of 305 North 4th Street, Vienna, Georgia, died Tuesday, July 2nd at his residence in Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for United States Army veteran Mr. Joseph Smith Sr., age 79, will be held Monday, July 15th at 3 p.m. in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. The burial with military honors will follow in the Veterans Section of Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. The public visitation will be today from 1 until 5 p.m. at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. Mr. Evan James Dawson, age 77, of 445 Vance Avenue, Byronville, Georgia, died Wednesday, July 10th at his residence in Byronville, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Evan James Dawson, age 77, will be held Saturday, July 20th at 10 a.m. at the Dooley County Primary School in Pinehurst, Georgia. The Reverend Mary Scott will officiate. The public visitation will be Friday, July 19th from 1 until 5 p.m. at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. Deacon Gregory Bernard Pickens, age 52, of 104 South 13th Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Thursday, July 11th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Deacon Gregory Bernard Pickens, age 52, will be held Saturday, July 20th at 2 p.m. in the sanctuary of the Odom Grove Baptist Church in Cordele, Georgia. The pastor, Reverend Jeff Wilson, will officiate. The burial will follow at Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. The public visitation will be Friday, July 19th from 1 until 5 p.m. at the